My name's Maddie. I know most of you already know me. I'm the hospitality and events coordinator at Stoke, and I'm glad to see everybody today. And whoever wants to go next.
So I'll go next. My name is Teresa Brown, and I work a full-time job in sales and marketing compliance for Santander Consumer, downtown Dallas. But I also own my own home-based Mary Kay business. So when I got the invite about women businesses, let's talk, let's hear, here I am. So thank you for inviting me, Randy. And I'm just looking forward to seeing everybody and what's going to come out of this.
Awesome.
I'll go. Good morning, everyone. My name is Cindy McIntyre, and I own my own wedding planning company. I'm a certified wedding planner, CM Promotions, and I feel like, Randy, I'm one of your groupies. I see your name, and I'm like, boom, I'm there. I'm at all your things. I'm super excited.
Hey, Cindy. Danielle. Hi, Danielle. I'll go next. My name's Randi Skinner. I'm with RS Consulting, and I help business owners, small business owners primarily, with their marketing and sales strategies.
I'm Brittany Bowman. I live in Denton, and I was a teacher up until July, and I left teaching for safety. And so I'm a full-time entrepreneur now. So scary, but exciting.
Nice. Nice.
Congrats.
Yeah. Glad to have you with us today.
Hi, I'm Danielle. I am the digital marketing coordinator for Jasati. We're a web management services and enterprise marketing company based in Denton. In my after 5 o'clock, I am a podcaster as well, which was a show called What the Femme Podcast. We interview all kinds of people. So I too am a Randi Skinner groupie fan, longtime fan. So I'm like you. If Randy's name's on it, I'm going to it. So really excited to hear from Randi. I want to see that baby though. I better get one baby look while we're on this call.
Her nanny is here. I don't know if you know Ellen. You know Ellen, who her and her husband run client services. Ellen comes and hangs out with Easton a couple days a week.
Oh my God, what a joy.
She's her nanny, but I just call her friend Ellen.
That's her big friend Ellen, that's all. My big adult friend Ellen.
Yes. So they're outside. I came and ran back here. I'm in the back to hide. So we'll see if it works out. If you hear pounding on the door behind me, I apologize. That's just Easton raging to get in. So
in 5 minutes. I don't know what I can do anymore.
Awesome. Clay, do you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Yeah, sure. Hey everyone, I'm Clay. I do kind of a wide variety of things, and I saw, I know Randy's pretty knowledgeable as far as marketing and everything that you're doing. I like a lot of your content, so this is my second meetup that I've come to with you presenting, and then Danielle, so you were jumping on this one as well, so figured why not. So, and I've been going to Stokes, events for quite a while now. I do a wide variety of things. I'm no expert at any one thing really. But marketing, I'm pretty familiar with that. I used to be a VP of marketing in the CBD space. So I'm happy to speak to any of that, and just here to kind of listen this morning. Honestly, I'm pretty tired, so I woke up pretty early this morning. So.
Cool. And then if you'd like, Brandon, we're just doing a quick round of introductions if you want to just introduce yourself real fast before you get started. It's okay if not. Okay, cool. Oh, you're not Brandon.
He's on mute.
Oh, you're still muted.
Yeah.
Here we go.
You're still muted.
I think
Okay, here we go. No, my husband is Brandon, so we share this thing.
Yeah.
So I'm Jennifer Fowler. I'm a little late, so I don't know what everybody's saying when they introduce.
Just your name, what you do, maybe your reason for coming to this coffee and convo.
Okay. Yep. I'm a local Denton realtor. And I just love Randi's ideas. So I always got to listen to her. She says good stuff.
Okay.
I'm so flattered. Thank y'all for all the compliments. Like, I'll be honest, I was today kind of started like a want day, but I feel like, how do I, all these
Yay.
compliments, how could I not walk away feeling positive? That's so kind. Thank y'all.
Well, Randi, I'll let you go ahead and get started.
Okay. So I'll be honest, like, I have a couple of just kind of like random thoughts and ideas, but I really just wanted to turn it over to you guys. And is there something that you've been doing in your business, especially like over the past couple of months? Like, what's significantly different when it comes to like your marketing or your sales, or what's something that you've seen somebody else do that you thought was just such a big win? I thought we could just kind of start with seeing what have we observed? Anybody? I know Danielle over at Stati, they've been busy turning everybody into online shops. So obviously, like, that's huge. How's that been going?
Honestly, it's been really crazy. We already, so like I mentioned earlier, Jasati, we are a web management services company. We focus on e-commerce and enterprise-based systems. We help build compensation plans, affiliate programs, and we do web builds from front to back, the whole shebang, or we do just basic Squarespace websites. So back in March, we experienced a serious influx of clients, past clients that were looking for major changes. So we did a lot of actually taking old clients who operate in either the retail or food service industry, and we had them originally on Squarespace websites, and we have moved them to e-commerce platforms because they have that immediate need of needing an online store to sell their stuff and provide curbside pickup or delivery services. So we were already really busy, and so now we are even more so busy, which I will also say is definitely a blessing. We are super grateful to even have all of that work. Not everyone is so lucky. But yeah, I think that is the biggest thing that we've seen. It's just like you said, bringing everybody online if they aren't already online, and then bringing them to the e-commerce platform if they aren't already somehow existing there. There's a lot of what we've been doing.
Yeah, it's awesome. And I've good job, because I know a lot of people, especially on the Square, have been have
if you've
benefited.
Shopped at Tree, if you've shopped at Eastside, if you've shopped at Wine Squared, that's us.
Squared, yeah.
We did all of those. So thank you. You did support them. Do that. Sorry.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Anybody else have anything that they've kind of noticed, or some other? Obviously, like, going online, taking everything to e-commerce is huge. You got to do that. Anybody else have anything?
Well, I'm curious real quick, Danielle, because I have shopped on the East Side one whenever y'all originally got that up. What platform did y'all use there?
I am pretty sure that Eastside is on Weebly. So
okay.
We've been working in Shopify, Weebly, which is powered by Square. So if you have Square, it's the same. So Weebly is the web host side. So Square, Shopify. Oh, what is the other one? I'm sorry, I will think of it. But yeah, we've been I'm pretty sure they are on Square. Wine Squared and Eastside are both on Square, and then Chestnut Tree is on Shopify. I'm gonna go verify all of this right now. But those are our primary platforms we've been working in.
Nice. Yeah, I've built in Shopify before, and I like that one a lot, and it integrates well with Square from my understanding too. So, but if that other system was already, seamlessly integrated with Square, that's super efficient.
Right.
So.
We were trying to focus on what platforms they already have experience or POS system existing in that area. So Eastside and Wine Squared both operate through Square. So we just said, let's just move it on.
Yeah.
Thankfully, all those e-commerce platforms now, I don't know, I can't speak for what their history was like prior to this year, but now you're able to set up like a basic website with your shopping feature, and it doesn't have to exist separately, if that makes sense. So it's definitely been a very big learning experience, but I'm grateful for it.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for sharing. I appreciate it. That's good to
Yeah,
hear.
for sure.
Of course.
Thanks for the Weebly tip too. Most of what I've been working in lately has been Shopify, which,
Yeah.
you know,
She's like the higher end version of WordPress, which
yeah.
not a WordPress fan. So
Oh yeah, y'all do everything in Square. I don't do WordPress. Well, I work with Heather when anything involves WordPress. I just
oh yeah. And some clients will do WordPress.
Yeah.
I particularly do not like it, but if that's what they want, then you got to do. One must compromise.
One must compromise. So, okay, the things that have been on my mind and what I've really been dabbling in has been obviously like websites, like anybody that a lot of my clients I've come across lately, it's not that they maybe don't need the e-commerce side, because maybe it's like a B2C and there's not like an actual purchase, but they have really old websites, and down to like there are still websites out there, y'all, that aren't mobile responsive, and that just like blows my mind. Like and those are my favorite, right? Because then you get to come in and you have like this huge win, right? Like it's like you can only go up from here, right? So those are kind of the fun ones, because they start out so terrible, then by the time you get to this really beautiful updated thing, they think you're like this incredible, amazing like magician, and like, no, you're just getting something updated. Welcome to 2020. So that's one thing I've really been working on, and with a lot of people, is making sure that their website is functioning properly. And then the way that that's really been piecing together for me lately is focusing a lot on reviews. So generating reviews, and then content, which, I mean, we've all heard content, but one of the things that I've really been focusing on lately, and I don't know if I've talked about this with any of you guys before, but the power of reviews, and specifically on Google and Facebook, is so huge. But if you don't have a good website, right? Like if you don't have a website that functions properly, then kind of everything you do in the digital realm becomes a little bit of a waste. So your website's your foundation, right? Just like if you're building a house, you got to build the foundation. So that would be, and we can talk more about what makes a good website, but essentially at the end of the day, if it's something that's newer and updated and built halfway decent, and it's communicating with specifically Google, then, you've got a good start. And there's certainly a lot of, different tips, tricks, and best practices, but you need a good foundation. And then focusing on reviews has been huge. And I've just been really like diving into that world and educating myself, because, we hear a lot about, everybody's like, oh, like I get calls and they're like, oh, I want SEO. And I'm like, well, what do you mean by that? Like, I feel like for me personally, I think that's kind of a buzzword. And this whole concept of, I want to show up on the first page of Google, right? I get that too. And I'm like, okay, well, like, why? I mean, sure, yeah, it's good to show up on Google, but like, don't you want somebody to do something? Like, do you just want to show up on Google, or like, are you wanting to sell more stuff or generate more leads? Like, what is your, right? So we get kind of in this mindset of like buzz and like buzzwords and like, oh, I know that I need to show up on Google and I know that I need to do SEO, but at the end of the day, it still all goes back to like, what is your goal? What are you trying to accomplish? Who are you trying to reach? Because showing up on the first page of Google doesn't mean anything if you're not accomplishing, right? Like generating new clients for the wedding, right, Cindy, or generating new sales, new buyers for y'all's team, right, Jennifer? Like, it doesn't mean anything. So for me, I typically try and focus more on organic strategies, and like blog writing and content is a form of organic strategies where you're not having to pay. And reviews this year has been like my year of focusing on reviews, because they are so powerful. And so that would be my, like, that's the conversation. Like, is that something that you guys have focused on, or like done any sort? Have you had success there in generating reviews, or who has a review strategy? That would be, who actually has one? Cindy. Wow. Okay. Tell us about it. Gold star. You're on mute. You're on mute, Cindy. Tell us about your strategy. You like, I wish if I had a prize, I would give it to you.
No, and to be perfectly honest, you can tell me if this is a good strategy. So I kind of have like a generic email template that gets sent out to like all of the couples like the week of their wedding. So if they got married Saturday, 1 week later at 9 a.m., they're going to get an email from me that says like, thank you so much for trusting me for your big day, da, 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 da. Okay. And I do include Facebook, Wedding Wire, and The Knot. I don't include Google. And for me, I don't know if that's something I should be including or bumping to the top. But on The Knot and Wedding Wire, in order to get like the best of 2020 or 2021, you have to get 10 reviews in like the period of a calendar year, which doesn't sound that hard when I do so many weddings, but not everybody reviews you. So I have a strategy and I usually follow up with them again if they haven't responded. And some people are super quick and they do it. And I'm like, thank you so much. And some people have never, ever written one. And I know that they're happy with my services. Like everybody said, thank you. Like the wedding went awesome. But for me, it's kind of like what platform is going to be best for like growing my business. So when people inquire through Wedding Wire or The Knot, they read all the reviews. Like, I don't think personally I get a lot of Google inquiries, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's word of mouth, and the way that people are searching for wedding planners or wedding vendors are through those sites, and or they have my flyer at the Springs in Denton or Chapel Creek Ranch or the new venue Bella Cavalli, or like they're finding me another avenue than Google. I feel.
Yeah. So first of all, that's a great strategy. Like the email and then, you know, calling and following up with them. Kudos to you, and that's beautifully done. Are people, is that email working? So you know that people are giving you reviews, right?
Yeah,
so
and I have
working.
and I have it set so they can literally just like click the link and it takes them right to like the Wedding Wire box where they have to give me 1 to 5 stars. They write what they want. They write their wedding date. So it's not like they have to I try to make it as simple as possible for them when they get that email. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, honestly, it is working. I would say 70% of them respond.
Well, that's about right, because I think the last stat was like 77% of people who will actually give a review. So if you're getting like a 70%, then you're kind of, you know, you're not going to get 100, right?
Yeah.
Like that's not really how it works. So that's awesome. Well, okay, so to answer your question, like my gut inside kind of says Google applies to everyone, right? So, but at the same time, you said that the Knot and Wedding Wire, there's like, you need 10 within a certain period. So it makes sense that you don't want to leave that on the table, especially if you know that you're getting leads and you know that being in this upper tier for them makes you stand out. So on that email, when you kind of monitor it, when you get to like that 10 for the Knot or for Wedding Wire, right? Like switch over and then focus on Google. So like that's kind of a great review strategy. Definitely always want Google at the top, but kind of manage it and change it up. You know, if you've got a really, really healthy thing going on over on Facebook, take Facebook off for now and focus on the Knot, right? Like switch it out. And I kind of suggest having typically like one primary place. So like in the email, whatever it is that you are really wanting, if it's the Knot that week or if it's Google, making that primary and making that your primary call to action. And then, you know, you can still have those other ones, but kind of make them secondary to where it's like, oh, by the way, if you prefer to go here kind of thing. Because some people, right, like they are more comfortable going to Facebook than Google, right? Because you have to log in and all that. So you don't want to miss out if someone's more comfortable, but have like a primary call to action as far as where you're wanting people to go. And then the great thing I will say, one, if you go and look at your Google business account, Cindy, you should be able to see, do you know how long ago you set it up?
A while ago, but I just went to the Chambers like live stream Google thing about analytics like just this year. So I had Google Business for a while, but analytics was just set up like within the past like 6 months, I would say.
So Google, I would look at the Google My Business metrics, because
Okay.
the way that they have it is really easy, and I can send you a link, but it will actually show you, here's how many people are finding you, here's how many people went to your website, here's where you're showing up. And so that would be, you might be surprised, right? Like you might actually find that you are being searched, and especially when it comes to local, right? Like, you know, you're not trying to compete with some, like, you're not even really trying to compete with like Dallas or, you know, like
For sure. No.
outside, right? Like when it comes to local, and that's how you can really make your decision, right? Is decide like if it is something that is generating some traffic for you, like it makes sense to really, really invest there quite heavily with your time. But you know, if it's definitely something that should be in the mix, whether or not you decide to make it your focus. I think you kind of have to, you know, your business, right? And like if the Knot and Wedding Wire is it, you know, that that's where you need to be, don't leave Google behind, because that is your long term. Like that's how you build long term, right? So always be working over here and make sure that you're building it up. So like from a review platforms, Google's first, then Facebook, and then like, you know, percentage wise of reviews, like Yelp has its own little box in a sense, but then there's everything else. So like Wedding Wire and all these third parties, they make up such a small percentage just from how search does. And then one of the reasons I love focusing reviews on Google too is because Google is so cool, and it goes and gathers other reviews from other places and, you know, puts them on your profile. So like it'll gather it from Facebook. I don't know for a fact that it gathers it from Wedding Wire, but I bet it does, because like it, most recently I was working on a project and it was in the education, and like Niche and Great Schools are two kind of third party platforms similar to the Wedding Wire, and it gathered them from there. So I bet you that might be something that could, you know, I don't have any control over how that happens.
Yeah.
Like that's just what Google does. But you know, you could, that's something that you could kind of work towards. And the goal for reviews would be trying to get to where you have 50 reviews on Google, and then to where you have at least every quarter at minimum there's activity. Like anything older than 3 months is considered like dead and old. Like it doesn't matter anymore, you know? So like I had this one client, and they had like this review video up from 1992 like on their website, and they're like, yeah, but it shows like that we're like, you know, we have a foundation. I was like, no, it like really loses trust. And like it was, so unfortunately, yeah, that's cool, we should have it in like a throwback in a blog, a throwback historical. It shouldn't be like, you know, front and center on your website, you know? So reviews is something that, you know, you want to have it fresh. And every quarter is, every week or every month would be better. More is always better. Look, more is always better. But every quarter, if you had a new review coming in specifically on Google, then you could feel like you're doing something, right? Like that's a good place to start and a good goal. But yeah, so I'm real into the reviews right now, y'all. Like,
No, and I don't know if this
what I'm reading about.
And I don't know if this would be beneficial to anyone else, like depending on your different industries, but like I've gotten into the habit, and it might have, I don't know if it was you that told me this, Randy, or someone else, that like after I do a wedding, any vendors that I've worked with for the first time, like the photographer or the DJ, like go and leave them a review. And they don't always leave one back, to be honest, which I wish that they would, but it's almost like I've gotten more reviews that way, being like, hey, I worked with Randi. She was really, really awesome. Like, I loved her knowledge. She made the morning flow great, whatever I'm going to say. And like, I'm going to be like, from a planner's perspective, like I would highly recommend this person, you know? And then a lot of times they'll reciprocate, and I do that on their Facebook page most of the time. So that's gotten me a couple as well, just like sharing the wealth, you know, like knowing that together we made the day great, and let's like review each other, so to speak.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I know we definitely addressed it kind of in that email campaign marketing call we did with the Lunch and Learn, of how important it is to do that little networking in between with your vendors and whatnot. So I think that's great.
Super smart.
Is
Yeah,
there
and I mean, to Danielle's point on email marketing, Cindy, there's absolutely no reason that you couldn't gather up your vendor emails and create an email campaign to vendors, building those relationships. And those emails could obviously be asking for the review, but then the next one could be telling about a big wedding win and how you're looking to partner and network, and you want to know what they're looking for, right? Like, it can be focused on them. I mean, that's a email marketing is a fun one.
Randy, I was going to ask, like, for me, it would be title companies and lenders. So would you send out an email to them as well, asking them to review the transaction, or just whatever it would be?
Yeah. I mean, I think you should ask everybody and anybody, right? Like, I mean, part of the reason I feel, first of all, the number one reason that people don't have a good review strategy is because they just don't ask. Like, that's the reason they don't get reviews, they don't ask. And I think that's the human side of us. Like, we kind of are like, ooh, I don't want to bother somebody, or like, oh, like, I don't want to like give them extra work, right? Which is like really kind of, a little bizarre that our thoughts kind of go this way, because you would want to help somebody else, right? Like, if somebody asks you, like, you want to help them. It's like, that's how we work. You're working with someone and going through this sales transaction, this process, like, you have a camaraderie, so you'd want to help that person.
Right. And then
so I think, like, ask everybody. Do what?
How far back would you go? Would you just start from this point forward, or?
Well, I definitely think I would focus my energy on first creating something for like right now. So like and it is like creating a process, and that process is like, just write it down, right? Or like open up a Google Doc and like make notes about, here's what we're going to do. Like, you and Brandon kind of as a team, like, where does asking for the review fit in our sales process? Because, you have a process, just like you have to get the signature on the document, and here's how we do this. And like, so fit in, like, figure out where is it that you ask and actually establish that as part of your process. So I would focus first on building up, like, so that going forward, like tomorrow or next week, you can begin to build that habit, because it is a habit. And then, once you kind of establish that, there's absolutely nothing wrong with just going back to the people that you have a relationship with. I wouldn't focus necessarily on how far back I'm going to go. I would focus more on just like, who is my network? If you may not have done a transaction with someone in the last year, but they're part of your network and you have a relationship with them. And so there's absolutely no reason not to ask them, hey, like, would you mind giving us a review? And everybody's going to have their own like connection to you, so the type of reviews would be different. But and would you mind giving us a 5-star review? Like, very specifically say 5 stars. I've had this one client that their mom gave them a 1-star review because mom kind of didn't understand. It was on Facebook. Mom didn't understand how Facebook works, so they had to call mom and be like, hey mom, we're gonna need you to go change that review to 5 stars. So yeah,
ask for a 5-star.
Yeah. Oh
Okay.
yeah. Ask for a 5-star. Oh yeah. Like, in the email, it should be like, hey, go give us a 5-star review. And then with clients, I always put like, when I'm building something for clients, like, if it's an email or however it is, go give us a 5-star review, and it takes them to Google or wherever. And then it's like, hey, do you have feedback, or not feeling like 5 stars the right fit? Click here and let us know, and it sends them to an email. So depending upon if you're going to have like that one-on-one interaction with somebody to talk to them about the review, and you're only sending it to people that have that experience, or if it's just part of the process overall and you're sending it to everyone, having like a little like feedback kind of option, it doesn't hurt, but most people, like, if you get a bad review, it just legitimizes the good reviews, and it's more about how you handle it. So like, don't build a process around if you're going to get a bad review or not, but it's just a little thing you can do.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let me know what you end up doing and how it goes. I think for y'all,
would you do Google or Facebook? Because I feel like a lot of people look us up on Facebook, but.
So I would really, I would really encourage you to do Google as a primary and try and really build that up. But you could still have like Facebook as like the secondary, you know, like make Google your primary call to action. So if it's something that you're emailing out, you know, it's very easy just to have like, hey, go give us a Google review. And then like, kind of like little subtext could be like, or, you know, if you prefer Facebook, go here. But I'd really focus on Google because what you're always gonna, Facebook is significantly easier to get built up. It just kind of is. And Facebook tends to have a little bit more organic reviews happening. So, you know, I would really focus on trying to get Google and getting 50 reviews on Google. That's your goal. And then once you get 50 reviews on Google, like step back and, you know, at that point, maybe you just make it Google and Facebook are equal as long as you're getting them consistently in. But yeah, Google's going to be your buddy.
Anyone else have any questions for Randi?
Cool. We solved all of the marketing woes. Let's talk about what is y'all's, and I know Clay and Danielle, y'all are marketers too. So like what's y'all's big tips or or to everyone, what are y'all doing when it comes to content? Like, does everybody have a blog or, you know, I guess Clay and Danielle, like, do you have suggestions for how people should build out a content calendar? Let's talk content, y'all.
Oh, girl, I got blogs that talk about all of that. So if you want to check out some blogs that I've written in the past, I've got one that details. Just go to jasati.com/our-blog. There's about 6 jasati.com/our-blog, pretty sure. Or just go to jasati.com. The link is in the footer.
I don't know how to spell what you're saying.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's an acronym. It is GSATI. So spoiler alert, Jasati stands for Global Solutions and Technology Incorporated. Oh yeah, I'll drop the link in the chat as well. But yeah, I've got articles that I've written about that, about all kinds of content management and digital marketing tips and tricks and how-tos. We're actually kind of going through, by we, I mean me, I'm going through a little bit of brainstorming to try and think of new ways for us to develop content. Because right now we're just doing social media posting and blogs. But with the way virtual stuff is going and with our shift to emphasizing on e-commerce related business, I really want to expand what we have in our offerings and start a podcast or a YouTube channel, just like demoing things, videos that teach you how to set up a content calendar. I would love to be able to.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, you know, so it's just, you know, it's been a long time coming. I've been having to do a lot of writing. But that is something that I have as like a personal goal for our business, is to start offering more of the same kind of content in different digestible ways. So it's a little bit easier for everybody to access. And yeah, that's where we're at.
I think that's such a good, like, one of the things to start, you're like more digestible content in different ways. And it's this, so I think sometimes we get overwhelmed about like this idea of like, well, if I have a podcast and a YouTube channel and a blog, like I don't have enough information. It's like, well, but you could share the same information just across 3 different channels, right? And in fact, that's what you should do, right? Like repurposing your, you know, if you know that this blog has a ton of traffic, like why wouldn't you make a how-to video about it, or, you know, talk about it on a podcast?
And it goes right with SEO, something that you've been talking about this whole time. Like, it's definitely a buzzword, but it's definitely very important. But I think people don't really understand how it works. But like everything you do is SEO. Everything you do, everything that you produce is meant to enhance your search engine optimization. So the more content that you have out there with those other tiny keywords in there can boost your SEO or boost your search, you know, that thing that we all want for our clients, you know, to be the #1 listing on Google. But yeah, and plus we are all very busy people with not a lot of extra time to devote to developing new and different things for different platforms. So why not make it easier for yourself? I'm finding that our blogs are a great resource for what we will talk about on the podcast and YouTube, because it's a written point of reference of everything that I'd like to discuss. Same for that Lunch and Learn email campaign that we did. I wrote a blog for it to prepare for how I was going to talk about it. And so now I can take all of that and go make it a YouTube video and put some graphics up on there. And then that's even more content that's connected back to Jasati. That's valuable. So
That's perfect. Woohoo! Hey, you should be a marketer. Okay, there's this new app that it connects with like Zoom and stuff. It's called MMHMMM. Have you gotten this yet, Danielle? No.
No, I have not.
Okay.
What does it do?
I'm still figuring it out, but it's basically the coolest thing in the world, and I will drop the link. It basically it creates like a webinar room in Zoom for you, and so it makes you're using the software that instead of the virtual backgrounds, that's all you can do. This sets it up to where you can actually have like a room and show slides like straight from Zoom. And then also, if you're like for these how-to videos that you're thinking about recording, this tool, it would work really well, and it's brand new, and they're doing like beta still. So I'll put the link in there. You go to their website, and they're sending it out in batches, but it's really, really neat. And I don't know, just hearing what you're thinking about doing, it made me think that it might be. Here it is.
Yeah, especially if it's user friendly, because the programs that I use as far as like live presentations go is OBS, which is a little bit more of like a heady program, and I feel like you kind of need a background in production in order to figure it out sooner. So if it's super user friendly, I would definitely check it out.
This is for all of us normal people that aren't production people.
And that's what we love.
Yeah. No, it's really neat. I'm still kind of playing around and figuring out how I'm going to use it, but yeah. And this, obviously, anyone, y'all, like if as we're moving forward, and I mean, virtual is not going away, because I mean, basically people have discovered, oh wait, I don't have to have a face-to-face meeting. It's like, yeah, we've been telling you that for years. But thanks for tossing that in.
Oh yeah,
Danielle.
I'm just trying to grab a few so nobody has to do too much digging.
Love it. So anyways, figuring out kind of some unique ways to make your virtual meetings more engaging, or if you're going to record something, to Danielle's point, like if you're having a presentation or having a meeting, if you record it, you could then repurpose it as content as well. And so this which I love the name, this app would give you a channel for that. So Jennifer, if y'all are going to do some sort of like real estate tips, first time home buyer tips, and you did a virtual room, using this app would allow you to make it look beautiful and throw up slides and be more of a webinar experience. And then, to Danielle's point earlier, being able to capture that, write a blog about it, put it on a YouTube channel, right? Like post it on your social. And so I'm having fun with it so far. I haven't done too much with it, but a few things. So yeah. Thanks for tossing these in. These are great. All right.
Yeah, thanks for sharing those. I'm going to check out all of this content as well, by the way. To your question earlier, as far as content, I've been writing blogs for a while now, but they're very time consuming. I mean, I like it because it's a controlled environment to some degree, but it's still very time consuming and tedious, So the more that I've been transcribing my blogs, the faster I produce them, and the more that and like you were talking about, Danielle, maximizing your content, the more diversified that you can make it, the better. So, podcasting has been growing, it's been on the rise, and some are different category or styles of podcasts that can take multiple people, or one just flying solo, or can be heavily edited or not heavily edited. But regardless, I think doing podcasts in a way where you capture the video as well and having 2 different channels that way, so that you can just maximize that automatically, having it go to YouTube and then distributing it to all of the variety of different platforms for podcasting, wherever your audience would be, I guess, at that point. But Apple, Spotify, those are the 2 main ones that you want to be on. And beyond that, transcribe any of that audio using Rev. I like Rev personally. It's $1 a minute to transcribe your stuff. And I actually know
I
somebody to
haven't
work
used
with.
it, and it's good. Like, it's good quality. You're not having to go back and be like, well, that's not what I said.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that there's different levels, but they actually have somebody go through it and double check it. So yes,
Okay.
it's a very good experience. And if not, let me know and I can message somebody. So
Cool.
she's
Okay.
not my real little sister, but she dubbed herself that one. So yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. And they're based out of Austin as well, so very close startup. But they're not still a startup. They've been in business for a couple of years now.
Cool.
And then
so locally grown.
Yeah, exactly. And then beyond that, especially with transcriptions and to talking about YouTube as a platform, whatnot, people really, and SEO as well in there, people really don't utilize the description feature on YouTube and optimize YouTube as to the best of its capability. Even with end screens, if you're watching a video and there's no call to action at the end of the video, well, your viewer doesn't know what to do. And before that, so the first point is that YouTube has their description box where above the fold, before you click the see more button, if you want somebody to go to a link or to do some kind of action, just try and make sure that you get that in there before that cutoff. I don't remember what the number of characters is at this point, but making sure that you put that call to action in there is crucial. And then recognizing anybody else below that, and once you click that see more feature, is always good too.
I love that. That's such a good idea. The transcribing, that's so smart. Like, especially for like you, I'm like, I get so busy, and so I feel like that's the nice trick. But dude, you're spot on about YouTube. I feel like YouTube was like my rediscovery last year. Like 2019 was all about YouTube for me, because I feel like we kind of, at least for me and like in my marketing world, I think we kind of forgot about it. Like we went on and we started writing blogs. And then there's still YouTube over here. You're like, oh, wait, that's still a huge earning power when done properly. And so, yeah, like really doing that keyword research and figuring out, like putting together those YouTube videos that align with the keywords. I mean, that's so spot on. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for asking me too. Well, for probing me too, but, or prompting, whatever. But also into the SEO point real quick, because yeah, I mean, doing SEO aimlessly isn't really going to be a strong suit for anybody, but the more different types of content, so if you have YouTube videos, if you have podcasts, if you have blog content, and if it's all optimized correctly, bringing that all into a blog on your website is also very, very beneficial. So the more different types of content from the different platforms that you have all in one place, all housed under one roof, it creates kind of a pyramid effect and a funnel effect for the algorithm to work. Now, there's a variety of different ways that can be argued and strategized as far as the best way to present that. But altogether, that should be very helpful as far as boosting your rankings some too. And it just looks legit, really.
Well, so. Yeah, it's like, that's kind of like going back to what I was saying earlier of like this. It's like, what do you want to accomplish? So you want to generate more business. And so the way that you do that, right, is by giving people really great information and driving them to your website and bringing them in. And then, it just so happens when you have a really healthy ecosystem of marketing, it also boosts your Google ratings, right? Like, so I think that's a really good point. And to your point, the more you can drive traffic to your website, whether it's coming from social media or coming from just even Google search, the more traffic driving to your website, it's a good overall goal, because you're getting more traffic is better because it's showing that you're more of the expert. People are finding you, saying that you're relevant, and it also, from a consumer standpoint or your audience standpoint, it teaches them to go to your website for that information. So it's kind of the same concept as when someone, can get a free download. You don't want the download just to be right there. You want to email that download to them because you want it to teach them to go to their emails in order to get information from you. So it's just like twofold. It's one, just a good best practices for SEO, for showing more traffic to your website is just a good practice. But then it's also teaching your audience that your website is your go-to. If you have an update, it's on your website. If you have an event or some sort of milestone, it's on your website. And if they're going back to your website for great content, they'll be more likely to see this new product or this new home listing or whatever that may be. So yeah, I like your idea of the pyramid too. That was a good visual.
Yeah, thanks.
Cool.
I appreciate it. And absolutely to your point with email marketing as well.
Oh no, you froze up, Clay.
Oh, we got a little.
I bet he was gonna say email marketing is good. You should do it. Which Danielle did the email marketing lunch and learn. So if email marketing is something that's on your mind, go watch that for sure.
About to drop in the chat the URL to Stokes YouTube channel where we upload coffee and combos and lunch and learns. There might be a few that still need to be uploaded, but by and large, it's pretty up to date. So we are going on a hiatus of coffee and combos for the next 6 weeks. So we'll be coming back on September 15th. But if you want to, revisit some old ones or watch them for the first time, they're on our YouTube channel. So just putting that out there.
That's
We're talking
awesome.
about you too.
Perfect. Look at you repurposing your content. That's awesome.
That's all Lacey.
Clay, you got cut out. We didn't hear. What were you going to say about email marketing?
Oh, no worries. Sorry. Yeah, I think I had a stable or unstable connection. Email marketing is great, especially when you can create some kind of consistency there or cadence. So, and if you don't overwhelm people, because yes, it is the obvious, like direct, it's like sending a text message, that person's going to get it no matter what. But, is there a best time that your audience likes to open it? MailChimp will give you some recommendations for that as well, automatically prompted. But then even if, say you want to get exposure to your audience more often through email communication, joining different newsletters for other people and getting on their newsletter can be another win-win as well. And then still continuing to send out your cadenced email content from your personal email channel as well.
Yeah, definitely. One of my favorite things to do, because it's like the killing two birds with one stone, is really great blog content that clients have, taking that blog and sharing it as an email newsletter. It's like one of the easiest ways because it's content that I know people are interested in. I know it's relevant, and I don't have to come up with something brand new, right? Like my audience has already spoken and they've said, like, this is great. By traffic, you can see people are reading it, or, maybe they said something about it or commented. So that's kind of the consistency, like Clay said, is so important. So whether you're doing it every week or every month, it kind of depends on you and your business, but you don't want to spam people. You want to be intentional. But that's kind of like if you're just getting started, focus on getting your blog content and then share the best blogs as part of your email newsletter to provide resources. That's one of the great opportunities to repurpose content and not reinvent the wheel too. So yeah. Well, anything else? I know we're kind of getting down to the last minute. I love where our conversation has gone. That's why these coffee and combos are so fun. It's because we just get to like go everywhere, which is kind of how my brain works. So it works really well for me.
I have a question, and I don't know if this might be helpful. Like, what about like private Facebook groups? Or I know probably all of us have like a business page, but like for me, I feel like I'm targeting a specific, like a couple getting married. Teresa, you're looking for people that are interested in makeup services. So if we created our own business page that maybe someone could register through our website or follow us here, that way they could ask me specific questions. Because I'll be honest, I'm not a very good blog writer, to be like, I'm terrible. I can't remember it's been 6 months probably since I posted a blog. Sorry. But I feel like everyone has a different question. And for me, everyone's in a different stage of the planning process. So if there could be a page where they could like openly ask me questions and I could have other team members on there. And then if we're having an event, we could promote that. Do you have any experience? Is that like, I don't want to deter people from like liking our regular page or visiting our website, but if this could be a second avenue for them to go to get more information.
Yeah. So, yeah, the answer is yes, like 100%. So the thing about setting up a group is that it takes time and you want to be able to invest in it, right? Especially in the beginning until you have like a group of people that's running the discussion. Being able to commit on the front end a couple hours a week is probably ideal. I had someone that if it's a smaller group, you know, it may not be as much, but one of the numbers that was tossed out by someone that's pretty pro at this is having to spend, you know, 20 hours a week to really build up your group in the beginning. So, I mean, it's kind of it can be a heavy time commitment in the beginning until it's really running. But Facebook is definitely encouraging, right, us to build groups because now they have under their community section on your page, you can link a group to say like, oh, this group is associated with my business. So it is, and then also like they're just kind of like trends in general. One of the trends you see on social media is going more and more towards these avenues that have increased privacy. So like that's with like the stories where things only show up for 24 hours and groups, right? That's part of the reason that we're seeing groups is this like privacy concept where you can engage without it being public. So, and then also Facebook has created tons more options just within groups, like more scheduling capabilities, more different types of posting, being able to like go live in the group wasn't available that long ago. I think that just happened last year. So there's lots of features, which is kind of like a telltale sign that like, hey, if they're investing more and more over here, it's going to continue to be relevant. And so that's been on for a couple of years, like this will be the second year is like a trend is groups. So if you can figure out what your niche is, now for you, it's that it's a benefit and a perk, right, of working with you as you get access to this group. I would suggest you make your group public so that it's searchable and so that friends could add their own friends, but then set it up to where someone has to answer the questions to get in. So like it's not just anybody, you know. And, you know, for you, it could be a lead generation tool. If you can get people to add their friends, you know, what's your biggest concern about planning your wedding? And then that's like you're in, right? Like, oh, hey, I know you're concerned about this. So here's how I can help. Or, you know, based upon the questions, that drives what type of content you're putting in. One of the coolest things about groups is that if you've noticed on any groups you're in, people are constantly like, here's our new members, here's our new members. Facebook set it up where that's just a one click. So it actually prompts you to be able to say like, hey, here's your new members, and you just click and it posts. So that's a great, every week you can be like really kind of encouraging that conversation. That's a really good place to start. And then, you know, creating some type of campaign, like you know, we're gonna post for the next 7 weeks or 5 weeks, like tips all about flowers, plural, I don't know. Like, you know what your people want, Cindy. You know, what are the top things that people want to know?
No, I think it could just be like, because I'm in a lot of like North Texas Bridal Network, DFW, like wedding vendors, and some of those pages have like literally like 12,000 people. Like, I kid you not. And it's very overwhelming. So like sometimes I'll get tagged in a post as far as my business. And then by the time I'm able to respond, there's already 138 people that like have also, and I feel like if I could get it to people that are just interested in like our specific services and they can ask questions and it become like a little community, but it like there definitely would be questions that would be regulated. Like, I don't want everyone under the sun. You have to be planning your wedding or like engaged in the next 6 months or something like that, some type of criteria, you know?
Yeah. Totally. And I think if you're kind of setting up for you, like mapping it out and figuring out like what you're going to commit to as far as what you're posting, what your niche is, right? Like why should people join the group? Like there's got to be, you know, you have kind of like a certain type of wedding, so like maybe it's specifically about like this type of wedding or this type of bride. So, you know, the group for folks that are six months out, or so, you know, something better than that. But right, like it being very niche focused. And one of the things that you could think about doing is every week as you build it up, or even it could be once a month, but I'd probably really suggest every week, just start going live in your group. Like every week you go live and you provide a tip, and that's how you can answer questions. And, you know, it can be for 30 minutes. And then that kind of, you begin to build like this culture around, like, that's really how they can begin to engage with you, and doesn't have you having to go into the comments. And, you know, you can kind of market this concept of like, hey, every Friday at 1 p.m. or whatever, I'm live and I'm here to answer your questions. And then whatever the conversation is on that Friday, just use that to talk about for the next week. Like that's your content. So like whatever questions came up, turn that into like, hey, this was, you know, how do I pick my florist? Here, this is what came up. Here's 3 tips. You can go watch the Facebook Live from last week, right? Like it goes back to like that concept of repurposing all of your content. So I think if you can kind of figure out how to get that discussion going, then create something consistent.
Yeah, no, the real estate company that I worked for in Massachusetts did the exact same. It was called Ask Me Anything. So 30 minutes, ask me anything. And some people would ask about real estate. Some people would ask about his kids. Like it was everything, because they just wanted to know him as a person and about his business. But then he would take that information, and those would be like the questions he would answer throughout the week for anyone that missed the conversation. So yeah, no, I really love that idea.
I love it. Yeah, do it. See what happens.
Okay.
And the Ask Me Anything, super cute. Maybe you could think of a play off of that, you know, like, I don't know.
Synonyms.com. That's how I find all my creative words.
Also, there's nothing wrong with just, you know, why reinvent the wheel? So yeah, cool idea. I'll look forward to invite me to your group. I'll check it out.
All right, well, we're right at 9:59. Does anyone else have any questions or comments for Randi? No? Okay, well, thank you, everybody. And thank you, Randi, once again.
Thanks.
Great session. I wrote some notes down, so these are good for me too.
Yeah.
So it was really nice to have everybody come today. I hope to see you in 6 weeks when we start doing coffee and convos again, but we'll still be doing lunch and learns and some virtual events here and there. So hope to see you then too. All right, y'all. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.